It was the height of the Cold War. A time when the world was split in two. West against East. NATO against the Warsaw Pact. And above them all, the silent eyes of radar. The Soviet Union had built a massive web of early warning systems. Radar stations stretched from the Baltic Sea to Siberia. They could see almost anything that flew. Almost. Because in the shadows, the United States began building something no radar could ever see. A ghost. Not just a plane. Not just a weapon. But an idea. A weapon that wouldn't fight fair. A bomber that wouldn't ask for permission. Something that would not be detected. Would not be heard. Would not be stopped. They called it Project Aurora. A name that never appeared in any official record. A project so secret, even the engineers didn't know where their components were going. Budgets were hidden. Designs compartmentalized. Entire facilities were built underground. The men and women working on it disappeared from their old lives. Some were told they'd be gone for weeks. They came back years later. Changed. Silent. They weren't building a conventional bomber. They were building a revolution in air warfare. At the heart of it was a radical idea. The flying wing. No tail. No fuselage. No vertical stabilizers. Just one seamless, curved body. A single wing with no protrusions, no echoes. And no easy radar return. It was unlike anything that had ever flown before. And because of that, it terrified traditional engineers. How will it stay stable? Will it crash on takeoff? Can a human even fly this thing? The answer was no. Not without help. So they built computers. Flight control systems so advanced. They would constantly adjust the aircraft hundreds of times per second. Just to keep it airborne. And inside that ghostly shell, they hid technologies no one outside had ever seen before. Radar-absorbent materials. Exhaust cooled to reduce infrared signature. Bomb bays hidden inside the body. Everything designed to make it disappear. Even the paint. A matte black that devoured light and heat. And when it was finally complete, they didn't hold a parade. They didn't announce it to the world. On July 17, 1989, the B-2 Spirit rolled out under the cover of a secure hangar in Palmdale, California. It didn't roar. It didn't shine. It looked like a shadow. A shape that didn't belong in the sky. An alien silhouette against the desert sun. Reporters were invited. Photos were taken. But no one truly understood what they were looking at. Some called it a mistake. Others said it was a bluff. An over-engineered fantasy that would never survive combat. But those who knew better stayed silent. Because what they saw that day was not a bluff. It was a promise. A promise that the next time war came, the enemy wouldn't even know it had begun. The B-2 wasn't designed to win dogfights. It wasn't meant to fly fast or high or loud. It was designed to never be seen. It was America's shadow. Born in silence. Raised in secrecy. And waiting to strike. Without a sound. The world measures power by sound. By the roar of jet engines. The thunder of missiles. The shockwave of explosions. But the B-2 Spirit changed all that. Because power. True power. Doesn't always make a sound. The B-2 was not just stealthy. It was invisible, by design. Its radar cross-section was smaller than that of a bird. To most detection systems, it might as well not exist. And it wasn't just the shape. Every inch of its body was coated in radar-absorbent material. It bent incoming signals. Swallowed reflections. Made sure nothing bounced back. Even the engine exhaust was hidden. Its heat signature cooled and dispersed, leaving satellites and infrared sensors blind. No sonic booms. No contrails across the sky. Just silence. From the ground, you couldn't hear it. From a radar screen, you couldn't see it. From history books, you'd never know it was there. Because many of its missions never made the news. They weren't filmed. They weren't debriefed publicly. Some weren't even acknowledged by the Pentagon. But the targets, they disappeared. One night in 1999, the city of Belgrade in Serbia went dark. Power grids failed. Communication towers collapsed. Military bunkers vanished. For critical sites were eliminated. Within 30 minutes. No air raid sirens were triggered. No fighters scrambled. No warning. And when local forces searched the skies, they found nothing. No missiles. No drones. No aircraft. Only silence. And ruin. Official reports never named the attacker. No videos were released. No flight logs leaked. But for those who knew, there was only one machine capable of such precision, such secrecy, and such devastating calm. The B-2 Spirit. It didn't win wars by overwhelming firepower. It won by removing the enemy's ability to fight. Before they even knew a war had started. Early in every campaign, B-2s were sent in first. Not last. Not alongside. First. Their job: to blind the enemy. To cripple their air defenses. To destroy what couldn't be rebuilt in time. Command centers. Radar sites. Anti-air missile platforms. Gone. Before anyone could push a button. And when the conventional forces arrived, they were walking into a battlefield that had already surrendered. That's why the B-2 was never just a bomber. It was a scalpel. A shadow. A silent signature of strategic dominance. But it came with a price. Each sortie cost millions. Each aircraft took hundreds of hours of maintenance for every flight hour. Pilots flew alone. Over enemy territory. In silence. No backup. No second chances. And yet, they went. Because one successful B-2 mission could save thousands of lives on both sides. There are still whispers in defense circles about missions that never appeared on maps. Times when tensions were high. And a single B-2 flight prevented the unthinkable. Prevented war. You won't find those stories in textbooks. But in quiet corners of history, they exist. The nightmare that never made the news. Because it never needed to. No flight logs. No footage. No official statements. Just rumors. Whispers. And silence. That's how most B-2 Spirit missions begin. And end. Because the most powerful weapon is often the one no one talks about. For decades, high-ranking generals have hinted at operations that didn't happen. They speak in vague terms. In passive language. In denials wrapped in implication. But between the lines, a pattern emerges. There are stories. Some buried deep in classified briefings. Others passed quietly among veterans who know better than to speak too loud. Stories of a plane that crossed borders without being seen. Entered hostile airspace. Completed its objective. And disappeared. Take Iran. In 2007. Satellite imagery revealed a destroyed radar station near Natanz. A facility long suspected of nuclear activity. No country claimed responsibility. No explosion was heard. But the site was gone. North Korea. 2010. A nuclear test was planned. And then abruptly cancelled. Western analysts reported technical difficulties. But South Korean defense officials said they detected nothing. No aircraft. No drones. No missiles. Just silence. Syria. 2013. A chemical weapons depot vanished overnight. The U.S. denied involvement. But intelligence reports mentioned a single aircraft. Seen, briefly, on infrared. Then gone. They say only one kind of machine could do that. One aircraft designed to enter, strike, and leave. Without being heard. Without being tracked. Without being known. The B-2 Spirit. It wasn't built for glory. It wasn't built for the headlines. It was built to do the things no other aircraft could. And no one would admit to. There are no cameras in the cockpit. No GoPro footage. No war zone selfies. Just long missions. Dark skies. And a pilot alone. With nothing but static in his ears. And the weight of his orders on his shoulders. Some flights last over 40 hours. No sleep. No conversation. Just fuel, silence, and focus. They don't land at home. They land at forward bases. Under heavy guard. Away from the public eye. And when they return, there are no parades. No medals pinned on chests. No applause waiting at the gate. Sometimes they return to a room where only one person nods. And sometimes not even that. Because these missions don't officially exist. Not on paper. Not on record. Not in history. But maybe, in a quiet, unknowable way, they changed the world. Maybe that depot in Syria would have fueled a regional war. Maybe that radar in Iran was the final piece in a missile defense system, meant to strike first. And maybe one silent B-2 mission prevented something none of us ever knew was coming. There are no medals for that. No headlines. No interviews. Just the knowledge that, for one night, a shadow flew across the sky and came home without ever being seen. That's the price of silence. And the burden of those who carry it. Because the ones who keep peace often do so alone. It's been over 30 years. And still, no one has caught up. Not China. Not Russia. Not even America itself. The B-2 Spirit remains the only operational heavy stealth bomber on Earth. And that fact terrifies every nation that understands what it means. Because the B-2 is more than just an aircraft. It's a message. A reminder. A presence. A silent signal that says, if we have to strike, you'll never see it coming. Many have tried to replicate it. China built the J-20. Russia, the Su-57. America, the F-22 and F-35. But none of them can do what the B-2 does. Because the B-2 wasn't built to dogfight. It wasn't made for close air support. It wasn't made to be seen at all. It was designed to cross oceans. Bypass the most advanced air defenses in the world. And deliver a payload that could alter the course of history. All without ever appearing on radar. It carries both conventional and nuclear weapons. It can fly over 11,000 kilometers without refueling. It operates at night, in storms, through the clouds. Alone. And it does all of that while being almost invisible. By 2025, no country has created a true equal. Because building a stealth bomber like the B-2 is not just about materials and shape. It's about strategy. It's about philosophy. It's about creating something. Not to fight battles, but to prevent them. And perhaps that's what makes it so powerful. It doesn't shout. It whispers. Its wings don't slice through the sky. They glide. Without echo. Without resistance. Without a trace. And yet, those wings carry a weight that few can comprehend. Each B-2 costs $2.1 billion. More than any other aircraft in history. Critics called it a waste. A flying vault. An overpriced ghost. But ask any general who's seen it fly. And they'll tell you. You're not just buying a bomber. You're buying peace. Because when enemies know that somewhere in the sky, a B-2 could be flying above them. Unseen. Undetected. Unstoppable. They think twice. It changes their decisions. Their timelines. Their ambitions. It's not just hardware. It's psychology. It's deterrence. The B-2 doesn't end wars. It prevents them from starting. It stands not at the front of battle, but at the edge of it. A gatekeeper between peace and devastation. The crew inside knows this. They aren't just pilots. They are guardians. Every takeoff is a message. Every flight, a warning. And every mission, a silent act of balance in a world that teeters on the edge. There are newer designs now. Newer programs. The B-21 Raider is coming. But even that stands on the shadow of the B-2. Because the Spirit wasn't just a leap in technology. It was a leap in thinking. And for 30 years, it has flown alone. No match. No rival. No echo. Only silence. And the quiet promise that as long as it flies, some things will stay in the dark. He wears no medals on his chest. There are no photos of him in uniform. No articles. No headlines. No interviews. He is a B-2 pilot. And he is not allowed to say it. His name is classified. His missions, erased. His role, denied. And yet, he flies. He trains in silence. Sleeps on base. Receives orders without questions. And carries them out without recognition. There is no fanfare when he takes off. No crowds waving flags. No good luck from the world he protects. The airstrip is dark. The hangar quiet. Only the low rumble of the Spirit waking up. He climbs aboard. Knowing he might not return. Knowing that if something goes wrong, there may never be an explanation. His family won't know where he was. His country won't confirm what happened. And his name will not be remembered. But still, he flies. Why? He once said, quietly. We fly so others don't have to. We fly to stop wars. Before they start. There is a weight in those words. That cannot be measured in medals. Because B-2 pilots do not seek glory. They serve in the shadows. They miss birthdays. They miss funerals. They miss entire pieces of life. Because silence comes with a cost. Their stories, buried. Their sacrifices, unspoken. And yet, they hold the line. In a world full of chaos and noise. They are the calm. They are the stillness. They are the silence before the storm. That never comes. Because they were there. They don't fly into battle. They fly to prevent it. Each mission is a deterrent. A message written not in words, but in presence. And though the enemy may never see them, they know. Somewhere, up there, the Spirit watches. The pilots don't speak of what they've done. They carry it. In their eyes. In their silence. In the long hours above the clouds. When the world below sleeps in peace. And they are alone. One pilot once landed after a 44-hour mission. No sleep. No sunlight. No welcome home. He walked off the plane. Saluted his officer. And went back into the dark. No questions. No applause. That's the life of those who fly the beak too. Not warriors. Not celebrities. But guardians of a fragile peace. Held together by silence and trust. They do not stand on podiums. They vanish from the stage. But without them, the world might burn. Because the greatest sacrifice is not the one we see. It's the one we are never allowed to know about. And behind every beat, too, spirit, is a human spirit. Facing the unknown. With no recognition. And no reward. Only duty. Only honor. Only the quiet truth. That sometimes peace flies in the shape of a ghost. You won't find this story in the textbooks. You won't hear it on the news. But here on Honor Path, we tell what others forget. If this truth moved you, like, subscribe, and help us keep their silence alive, by finally giving them a voice.